Ever wonder why we dress up like monsters to beg our neighbors for candy and call it wholesome? It's a strange and wonderful tradition when you stop to think about it. We transform our homes into graveyards, our children into ghouls, and we celebrate the things that are supposed to scare us. But where did this delightful, spooky festival actually come from? Spoiler, Halloween is ancient. Pre-Rome bonfires on hilltops ancient. Its roots dig deep into the soil of history long before candy corn and plastic skeletons. Here's the quick origin story. 2,000 years ago, in the lands we now know as Ireland, the UK, and northern France, the Celts marked the end of harvest with a festival called Samhain, pronounced Samhain or Samhain. This wasn't just a party, it was a crucial turning point in their year. It was New Year's Eve for them, a thin liminal night when the boundary between the living and the dead supposedly blurred. They believed that on this night, the ghosts of the dead returned to earth, making it a potent and dangerous time. This wasn't about horror, but about a profound connection to the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. To prepare, communities doused their hearths, plunging their homes into darkness. And then druid priests lit massive, sacred bonfires on hilltops. These weren't just for light, they were for purification and protection, and each family would rekindle their home flames from that sacred blaze, carrying the protective fire back to their hearths to last them through the long, dark winter. To navigate this spirit-filled night, people wore costumes of animal hides and grotesque masks. The idea was to confuse any roaming spirits, either by blending in with them or by frightening them away. They left food and drink outside their homes as offerings to appease the spirits and ancestors, hoping to earn their goodwill for the coming year. And yes, with the veil so thin, they tried a little divination. Divination, especially about marriage. Young people would use apples and nuts to try and predict their future spouses. Divination about fortune, trying to foresee the prosperity of the harvest and the health of the community. And divination about fate, seeking guidance from the spirit world during its closest approach. Then, starting in 43 AD, the Romans rolled in. Over 400 years of occupation, some of their own autumn festivals began to blend with the Celtic tradition of Samhain. One was Feralia, a day in late October when Romans commemorated the passing of the dead. A familiar theme. The other was a festival honoring Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees, whose symbol is the apple. Apples? This Roman influence likely reinforced the apple's role in the celebration, and it's one reason bobbing for apples becomes a thing. Flirty, fortune-telling, with a crunchy prize. Fast forward to the 8th century. As Christianity spread through Celtic lands, the church made a savvy move. Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as All Saints' Day, or All Hallows' Day, a time to honor saints and martyrs. This meant the night before October 31st became All Hallows' Eve, which over time got shortened to Halloween. And the old traditions didn't disappear. They just got a new name and a new neighbor on the calendar. Medieval Europe adds its own layers. One was souling, where the poor, especially children, would go door to door on All Souls' Day, offering prayers for the dead in exchange for food, specifically soul cakes. And in Scotland and Ireland, there was guising. Young people would dress in costume and perform a song, a poem, or a trick in exchange for a treat, like fruit or nuts. Prayers for the dead, costumes, going door to door for treats. Sound familiar? But the holiday as we know it was truly forged in America when millions of Irish and Scottish immigrants arrived in the 19th century. especially during the Great Famine. They brought their vibrant Halloween traditions with them. Here, the old ways met new resources. The tradition of carving spooky faces into turnips to ward off evil spirits was adapted to a native North American fruit, the pumpkin. They were bigger, brighter, and much easier to carve. And those guising and souling traditions morphed into trick-or-treating. By the early 20th century, it was becoming a community-friendly, kid-centered candy run, a way to channel youthful mischief into a supervised ritual. Costumes, once meant to fool spirits, expanded from ghosts and we are witches to literally anything you can imagine, vampires, astronauts, your favorite meme. It became less about disguise and more about creative expression. Today, for most people, Halloween is a secular holiday, a multi-billion-dollar industry built on fun, fright, and community. Haunted houses, porch skeletons, and glorious, unapologetic sugar comas. But even in its modern form, the ancient DNA still shows fire for protection, now in our jack-o'-lanterns and candles, masks for disguise, now a chance to be someone else for a night. Offerings to spirits have turned into treats for neighborhood kids. And that dance with the idea of death, that feeling of being just close enough to the unknown to be thrilling, but safe enough to enjoy it. And a quick note on the neighbors, just as Halloween wraps up, another beautiful tradition begins. Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, lands on November 1st and 2nd. While it shares a season and a theme of remembrance, it's distinct from Halloween. It's a joyful, vibrant celebration with private altars or ofrendas decorated with marigolds, sugar skulls, and the favorite foods of departed loved ones, all to welcome their spirits back home for a visit. It's less about being spooky and more about memory, family, and love. A different vibe, but part of the same universal human season of honoring the dead. And what about all those classic Halloween icons? They have stories too. Black cats and witches are straight out of European folklore and medieval superstition tied to centuries of stories about magic and familiars. Bats, they were naturally drawn to the insects that swarmed around the ancient Samhain bonfires. What was once a common sight is now a pure Halloween silhouette. Apples are a triple threat, a symbol of the harvest, an echo of the Roman goddess Pomona, and a classic Samhain fortune teller's prop. And jack-o'-lanterns, they come from an Irish folk tale about a man named Stingy Jack who tricked the devil and was condemned to wander the earth for eternity with only a burning coal inside a carved turnip to light his way, a tradition that got a serious upgrade to the pumpkin in America. So, when I light a candle inside a carved pumpkin, I'm not just decorating my porch, I'm taking part in a 2,000-year-old ritual of protection and remembrance, just with much better snacks. Want a deeper dive? I can break down the fascinating history of trick-or-treating, from soul cakes to candy bars. I can explain the surprising science behind why we love to be scared and how fear and fun are linked in our brains. Or we can explore how Halloween and its sister festivals are celebrated today in Ireland, Scotland, the US, and beyond. The story of Halloween is as rich and layered as its history. Tell me what to unmask next.